The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Today on Alpha Sessions, we welcome back Leo Kelly-Gee, and also welcome to the first time to Matt Ginno. Hello, chaps.
Hello, nice to meet you. Well, nice to meet you again.
Yeah, and you. Leo, I know a little bit about. We've spoken before. Talented guitarist, wrote his first song at 15, and recently got married.
Yes.
Or just before Christmas. Congratulations from that, Leo.
Thank you very much indeed.
But Matt, know very little about you. So can you give us some sort of insight to your musical background?
Yeah, let's see if I can give a whistle-stop tour of my career so far as well. It's been a little while since I feel like I've done it, given how sort of everything came to a bit of a halt last year. So I was in. I think I've been singing for as long as I can remember. Or sung from a really young age. Always enjoyed it, and I think I got to an age, I think I was about sort of 12, 13 when I thought, well, I'm singing to backing tracks all the time. I think, my mum and dad pushed me to well, how about you accompany yourself? And I went, well, I'll pick up the guitar. So yeah, sort of self-taught on the guitar. I'd love to get to Leo's level at the guitar, but no, for now, the chords and little bits, that I learned online and sort of taught myself, really helped me through, and sort of being able to pick up an instrument like that definitely helped in terms of, manage. I think I'd had aspirations to sort of write my own songs for a little while. And after a few years, funny enough, around similar ages as Leo, I was about 15 when I sort of really started, knuckling down, got myself a little notebook and really started writing, and was part of some songwriting workshops when I was sort of in college, which was brilliant, and really got me writing week on week. And sort of carried on through uni, which is obviously where Leo and I met. But no, I sort of graduated uni, and I sort of set about becoming the professional sort of actor musician that I'd dreamt about being. And I think sort of for the couple of years since I graduated, I would play sort of on the London circuit in bars and different clubs, but mainly it was a big busker, and that was definitely a part of my income, part of how sort of I made a living and sort of paid the rent while living in London. Would be on sort of the National Rail scheme, and you'd find me sort of most weeks, most days playing in some of the big network rail stations. Which was which was brilliant, and I feel like a lot of that sort of been kind of cut out my life a little bit. I had to obviously the pandemic hit, and I've moved back, and still trying to play as much as I can, but been writing songs for coming up to about 10 years now. I think I released sort of my debut EP in 2014. And haven't really released anything myself since. There's been sort of little recordings and bits that I've done online, but this I did a collaboration with another friend of ours, sort of that he little sort of recording that we did together that was released early this year, and then this is sort of the first one of the first bits that's going to sort of be on Spotify for me. Sort of being able to work with Leo, it's been great, and that's sort of a little run up to where we are right now.
You say you haven't released a lot, but I had a quick look on your Facebook and Instagram pages, and you've put a lot of covers up, haven't you? Certainly over the Christmas period, I saw you were doing 12 Days of Christmas.
That was awesome.
No, absolutely. It was just like we're creatures of of motivation, and sort of I think it was definitely rather motivation, momentum, and just sort of I wanted to try and build a little bit of momentum heading out of 2020, and it was I hadn't done anything like that before, really, sort of giving myself, and it was a really good kind of pressure, and it wasn't just sort of covers or songs and pieces that I'd had sort of in my back catalogue. There were some bits that I fancied doing on the day, so it was quite a nice little project, and I was able to sort of release things in the evening. But no, really nice to keep busy with something like that as well. But you're right. I mean, I love covers, and I think that's a big part of my busking life. I would sometimes busk for up to 3 hours actually, and I'd have so a full repertoire of covers that would make people stop and listen sometimes.
Yeah, and I have to say, you've got a really good voice. I was
Thank
really
you.
impressed. I mean, you've got quite a variety of styles in there. So particularly, I was looking at a lot of the Christmas ones, I have to admit, and varying styles. But yeah, good voice. Will you agree with that, Leo? I think he's got a really good voice.
Oh, it's incredible. I've never heard anyone sing quite the way you do, Matt. Like it's I remember. I think it was the second year of uni because I think I started a year before you did. And the first open mic that you came along to, it just blew everyone away. I just remember all of us just sitting there, just sort of like having people come on and come off, and then just like Matt started singing, everyone just went like, "Oh, right, okay." And I've never seen anyone similarly after uni. I think you did a gig. I can't remember what the pub was. It was near Hoxton. It was in Hoxton, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And I've never seen anyone fill out an open mic night like that. So you mentioned like 2 days before you were coming, and sort of like 60 people turned up to what is you are an amazing singer, and the songwriting as well is fantastic as well. Like not only you're a fantastic singer, like the songs you write are brilliant as well. Like everyone sings along to everything you write. It's amazing.
No, it's very kind.
So, Leo, what have you been doing since we last talked? Last time I spoke to you, we were sort of playing music from the Under the Blue Sky EP, and you mentioned that you had a new project, The Boy Who Will Forever Be. What's happening with that at the moment?
So it's moving forward quite nicely. We're in the process of writing. So all the songs have been written, and at least they've been written for sort of vocals and acoustic guitar. So they're functioning as songs in their own right. That I could potentially, sort of go out and busk if I needed to. But so the challenge now is sort of putting it all together into band arrangements. And so it's been spending the last sort of few months, writing the drum parts, extra guitar parts, piano parts, any backing harmonies and things like that. We have bi-monthly, or so once every 2 weeks, we meet with my band, which is Charlie Zhu, Bethany Graves, Jonathan Chung, and Alex Marshall. So we will meet every 2 weeks, and sort of I try and put as much into we'll pick 3 songs to sort of work on for those 2 weeks. And I'll put as much together as I can, and then sort of play it for them. They'll comment feedback, and then I'll take all the feedback on board and then put it back out again. And so we're just sort of trying to get it all ready, mostly just to sort of save ourselves a bit of time when we go into the studio, because obviously the more you can have ready to go before you go into a studio, then you can sort of go in with a really key idea of what you're doing, and you don't spend loads of time just sort of working out guitar parts and harmonies and things, and sort of spending hours and hours and paying by the hour to do it as well.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, it's going really well. So I'm really excited to get that hopefully recorded this year. And that'll be the first sort of full band stuff that I've had out since 2016. So it's 5 years. It's really flown by.
Wow. Well, okay. We'll look forward to that then. I also see both of you. There's something called the Bloomsbury Sessions. Can either of you tell me, or both of you tell me what that's about?
I'll let the former president of the Live Music Society take the lead on this one.
No, so the Bloomsbury Sessions were we were both part of the UCL Live Music Society during our time at uni, and the Bloomsbury Sessions was a project set up. I think when it was set up by a few years. It's been going on for a few years now, should I say? But it's a collection of some of the finest artists at UCL coming to play for like a recorded session of their own material, and it's something that really took off, and sort of year on year it's been able to build on it, and very fortunate to have both been a part of it. I think I produced I lose track of the years, but I know that I produced them with the help of a lot of people. It was a really good team we had, but I produced them in, I think, 2017, and it was it's a pleasure to be a part of. But I think a really good opportunity. It was something that was great that we could sort of offer as a society to some of the members, and brilliant just to again hear some original music from some just crazy talented people.
So these, if I understand you right, then these are all fellow musicians who all come together and if one of you two, say, has a song you want to record, the others all support you on it?
Yeah, pretty much. So the good thing that or the sort of the quite unique thing about UCL specifically was that there's no music degree that's studied there, so they don't offer a lot of the arts degrees that are offered at the universities aren't offered at UCL, and so the only sort of opportunity you have to do any music is through the societies. And sort of I was there for 4 years. Did we graduate the same year? Was it? Yeah. But over the 4 years that I was there, just the amount of talented musicians that came along it was completely mind blowing. To have so many people who were doing, medicine, biology, anthropology, all of these different degrees, but then to also have this side project of being a ridiculous piano player or guitar player or singer or drummer, all coming together in the same place. And because it wasn't done for academic purposes, I think everyone was just doing it for the love of doing it. And so, we had a lot of people to draw on for open mic nights, for any gigs, for any recording sessions, and everyone was just really, really happy to just, pitch in on various bits and, just anything they could sort of do to help. It was absolutely fantastic.
So is it? So do I understand? Is it then like an open night? It's you put shows on as well as part of that.
Definitely, yeah. It was. Leo would agree. It was, things like the open mic that we would host, sort of as a society. We played some. We'd play monthly gigs as well that we'd host at the Albany in Great Portland Street. But it was things like open mic were magic. And just to like reiterate what Leo said, it's brilliant. For not the university didn't offer anything any music degree, anything music related. So it was amazing to set up for the night in the open mic, and there'd be someone new would come out of the woodwork and surprise you each week. It was brilliant to watch, and brilliant. There's just such a community as well, and sort of what you were saying, Ron, about people coming in and helping each other and offering their services, sort of as offering their instrument as to help sort of build your track. Seeing some people come together for the first time in open mic nights, whether they'd planned to or not, seeing them come together, because there's some crazy talented musicians, and it was brilliant, and it would just really light up our nights at university. It's brilliant.
While we're talking about the Bloomsbury sessions, then you've both sent over videos of your own sessions. Leo, can we talk about yours first? The track called Brother.
Yes. So I wrote that song. I actually wrote it while I was at university. The guitar riff, as with most of my guitarists, I'd had for a couple of sort of years beforehand. I'd just been noodling around with things. But I often find that sort of I'll write a riff and then the inspiration will come afterwards, sort of the song that, the idea that fits it will come afterwards. And one of the things that I noticed when I moved to uni, obviously being away from home for the first time, you miss the weirdest things. My brother, we'd always fought growing up, obviously not horribly, but we didn't get on, as brothers do, you fight, you get in arguments and things. But I found, weirdly enough, that was one of the things I missed most, was just having my brother around to almost to wind me up, really, and sort of when you go away to begin with, you're a bit lonely and sort of you're in a new place and it's a bit scary. And so this song and the idea of just, being an older brother and looking out for your younger brother, making sure he's okay and sort of being around, just all the things you get up to, as kids and then as teenagers and also into sort of young adults as well. And it just sort of been sort of thinking about that. And so just the lyrics sort of just slowly, just sort of came together over the next couple of weeks after the idea came. And then I was really lucky to then be able to record and have a version to sort of put out for the Bloomsbury sessions, which Matt was obviously a big part of as well. So I'm very, very grateful to Matt for letting me record that song.
Take your sticks and your stones and build a house in a tree. An old chameleon suspended in child fantasy, concealed in oceans of leaves under islands of bark. We'll We'll chase the sun to the sky and stay out till it's dark. Muddy boots and summer rain, parachutes and paper planes. I'll take your buckets and spades and fill them up with my hands. We'll cleave a hole in the ground and raise a fortress of sand. We'll set a watch on the walls to keep the water at bay. Watch the tide come and tearfully tear it away. Lizard tails and lazy tides, swaying sails in summer skies. Well, I'll be there, your sidekick and skimming stones. Yeah, I'll be there, your buddy and broken bones. If you fall down, it's gonna be fine. Sometimes it's just nice to know that someone's waiting to pick you back up from the floor. You drive my patience to town and burn it out of its skin. Refuse to lose to the point where it's pointless to win. And though the rest of the world couldn't bring me down blue, there's no one else who could make me see red quite like you. But you're never cruel and never kind. You're never wrong, but never mind. 'Cause I'll be there, your sidekick and skimming stones. Yeah, I'll be there, your buddy and broken bones. If you fall down, it's gonna be fine. Sometimes it's just nice to know that someone's waiting to catch you and laugh that they told you so. No matter how many words that we say and don't mean, no matter how many years wander by in between, yeah, you're still 5 to me. So though I puncture your plastic and trash all your toys, and you break your back to break back, it's just boys being boys. Though I pretend to my friends that I turn you away, I'd have your back if you asked, and I know you're the same. 'Cause bound in blood, you and I will cross your heart and hope to die. 'Cause I'll be there, your sidekick and skimming stones. Yeah, I'll be there, your brother in broken bones. And if you fall down, it's gonna be fine. Sometimes it's just nice to know someone's waiting to give you that shoulder ride home.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
Okay, let's talk about songwriting now. Now, Matt, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you did a co-write with Jonathan Blake
Absolutely.
for his
Yes.
Fireworks album, Brighton Lullaby. How was that? How do you work as a co-writer?
Do you know? I think it was the really interesting thing about Brighton Lullaby writing with JB was that it came to sort of take on even more of meaning because it was probably around about this time last year that maybe sort of just over a year ago that him and I sat down and wrote that together. It all stemmed from another great thing about the live music site and about our, the amazing friends we have there and the community was we do a sort of an annual live music holiday, and we would head down to Brighton, usually in a big house for about 16 to 18 of us. It was brilliant for a week, much needed, and obviously a house full of musicians. You've got music happening in every room, and just collaboration, whether it's conscious or it was brilliant to sort of almost felt like we were in a real hub there, as well as being on holiday. But the sort of the little riff that JB had for that was for Brighton Lullaby stemmed from just something he was noodling about with on his guitar when we were there, and it was brilliant to sort of come together, even after that, when JB and I said, we should, I think the two of us, had never really we hadn't co-wrote together, we hadn't really co-wrote before. I had that experience, I certainly hadn't. So we were both sort of quite fresh going into it, but it was amazing sort of how quickly, obviously we knew each other, really good mates, and it's brilliant sort of how quickly it came together, and it was so sort of natural in terms of how it sort of really blossomed. I think JB was sort of playing, and I would sort of just sort of vocal. I'm not sure if I was even saying sort of coherent words, but we're just sort of working out like a little melody, and it would get to the point where JB would be like, "Oh, hang on, wait, what did you do just there?" And then I'd do it again, and we maybe put some lyrics to it, and it was a really great introduction, for me. And I think I can speak for JB as well in terms of how a song like that came together, that sort of had sort of a meaning for both of us, and we wrote that about the holiday in Brighton, and about that kind of the time that we spent together. For a lot of us, that was our we just finished university, so we weren't sure what we were doing afterwards. We were sort of heading home or moving on to the next parts of our life. So it was a really organic song, but that rose from the two of us being in the same room, both had our guitars, and just sort of being able to sort of really bounce off each other back and forth, which was brilliant. Sometimes you don't quite get that if you're sat there in your room by yourself, trying to work something out on the guitar or write into a notepad. So it was brilliant, but also different to the experience that Leo and I had.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because I recall when I last spoke to Leo and I asked him about his songwriting, he said it was, I can't remember what the actual words used, but you sort of just get bits of melody, put them away somewhere, pick them up again, join other bits on. And I just wonder how difficult it is to write with Leo, with his writing style, which seems to be very. It reminded me of, and I guess you do these days, doing it on a computer. Record a bit, move it over there. Don't like it there, put it back over here. What experience is that like? But for the both of you.
I'm a huge. Leo is such a talented musician, such a talented songwriter, and it helps as well. And it's almost, it's exciting, and it's also kind of easy to write with someone who you're a big fan of their music as well, and their lyricism and bits. And I feel like I'm sure Leo will say more, but the way sort of I described about my introduction into co-writing, I think Leo and I were able to almost make the best of the lockdown, and try and kind of take that process of bouncing off each other into sort of an online, over Zoom, over messages. I'll let Leo say a little bit more about the process behind it, but it was brilliant to sort of have that, maybe not so instantaneous, but to be able to bounce off one another and really sort of form something was a brilliant experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think weirdly enough, so I did mention last time it does take me quite a long time to write songs, but this one actually uncharacteristically came really, really quickly as a result. And I think having someone else there sort of, it gives you that level of urgency, I suppose. And also because you've got someone else sort of feeding you things that you can then react to, as opposed to just reacting to things in your own head and sort of, you know, bouncing them around. There's much more of a, even if there's not a time scale on it, I think mentally you do think, all right, okay, well, he sent me that over, I should probably send something back, you know, in the next soon. And so I think the whole thing did come together. Yeah, it did come together really quickly and really naturally as well. I think similarly, I'd had that riff sort of knocking around for ages, and just decided to sort of make something of it. And we'd spoken for a while, and like, just I can't remember the amount of times we just mentioned it in passing. Oh, we should really write a song together. But they go, yeah, we should really do that. And then like 6 months would pass, and we'd mentioned it again, and sort of again and again and again, and sort of finally, when we had a bit more time in lockdown, we finally decided to sort of knuckle down and actually write one.
That's that sounds really interesting. And you mentioned it there. You were having to do it over Zoom and by email and text and things like that. I mean, Matt, you obviously had the experience, and probably elsewhere, but certainly with the song you did with Jonathan Blake. You, I guess, were in a room together in Brighton, and you were physically, you know, in touch, sort of thing. Is that very different to writing over Zoom and on emails? And
it is very different. I think what really helped in that respect, and listening to maybe other songwriters from, you know, around the world, some of the biggest songwriters in the world talk about co-writing. But I think what really helped Leo and I is that we were so familiar with each other. We were friends. We knew each other. I think it would be such a different experience. Be very interesting to see what you'd sort of come up with, but very different experience had I, you know, had we entered into like the process of co-writing with someone who we, you know, didn't really know. Maybe it'd be interesting to you know, I'm sure there'd be a whole load of time actually spent getting to know that person, and I'm sure there'd be some ideas that come from that. But I think being so familiar, you know, with each other, and having like been friends and familiar with each other's work, and even the way we work and how we work as musicians, really helped us to make it work, and for it to be so natural, which I think was so key. But I know we spoke about it over Zoom, but the actual kind of writing of it was really over Facebook Messenger, and over sort of, it wasn't sort of instant at all. And I'm terrible over Facebook Messenger. It can take me, you know, days to reply, but thankfully Leo's very patient. But it would, you know, Leo would send me over you know, a video of him playing the riff, which and also sort of the first, you know, verse as well, and his ideas for it, and like a melody. And it was brilliant to even, it was almost like it's kind of works as a spark in the fire that really sets it off, even a couple of minutes of video of music. And it really helped me sort of as a songwriter as well. And it was a brilliant, Leo touched on it, but it's a nice motivation. Maybe you get it even more so when you are doing it virtually, but it's a good pressure. It's like a good pressure to be like, oh, well, Leo sent me over this, you know, if I can't just sit on this and wait, because Leo's, you know, waiting for me to get back with something, you know, it's something he's worked on. So I don't want to just, you know, let that, you know, die out. So it was brilliant, and gave me a boost. But we worked really well. And I think honesty is great as well, especially for all songwriters working together. But especially, going back and forth, sort of the same way that Leo was talking about, how sort of, you know, he'll meet with his band, with his ideas, and they'll come back. And the next time he comes back, he'll, you know, maybe have worked on that a bit more. And that's sort of the way we worked for it, wasn't it, Leo? Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, it was fantastic to sort of like, I think it was nice in a way, because there was a little bit of the delay was kind of good, because it meant that I think having done a little bit of co-writing again with another one of my bandmates, Bethany Graves, we tried to do it in the same room together as you and JB did. And I think the urgency sometimes can be a bit intimidating if you have to come up with something right there and then, whereas if you can sit on it just a little bit, you know, it sort of gives you a bit more time to sort of come up with ideas and come up with melodies and things. And so like so when you sent over the the first sort of verse and chorus, after I'd sent over the riff, like I had a bit more time to sort of like sit down and sort of think of the lyrics and come up with something to sort of answer with. But yeah, like it like there was never any real sort of like sort of disagreement on anything, which is quite nice. Just like everything that you submitted was like, that's really good, that's great, like it's brilliant, and then I'm more than happy to send stuff back on that because it was so good. Every time I remember we had a chat about so the first verse in the song that we came up with you, so you wrote the idea of sort of driving, sort of with the idea of like an automobile or a car being a way to freedom, sort of driving on an open road and being able to go anywhere. And that made me think of sort of sailing and sort of doing the same thing in water. And then sort of automatically we're both sort of like, well, flying's got to come next then, surely, and it wasn't even sort of there was no sort of, oh, we should think of something else. It was just, nope, flying, it's definitely be that. And we both sort of came to the same idea. So I think it did progress very naturally, which was really nice.
We're talking about the single that is about to be released, and it's called Free. Is there, before we see it, well, two questions really. Anything more about the song, the meaning of the song, and also what's the video about that we're going to have a look at as well?
Go for it, Leo.
No, go on. You go for it.
No, I was going to say Leo is brilliant in terms of the meaning of it. Leo, you say it better than I could. So no, please do. Take it away.
Well, I mean, it was mostly based on what you on the chorus that you wrote in the first place. So I'd had this sort of. So the melody, the riff had been there for a while, and then I think after a while, just being stuck in lockdown for, everyone had their sort of week of hyper productivity where I'm going to learn a new language, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and that lasted for about 3 weeks and then petered out for me, and I got really sort of like just the monotony of everything, having no work. So obviously I was working as a wedding singer at the time, which obviously wasn't happening, so no work, no structure to anything. And I just wanted to get away from it all. And so this line just kept going, like, in my mind, I'm going to fly away somehow. I'm going to go, escape. And then that sort of led into, just sort of, I just had that line, which I sent over to Ginno. And then he came back with this idea of like sort of this wonderful, amazing melody over the chorus of this idea of being free. And then it just sparked from there. And it was just sort of became an idea of this, that everyone sort of feels it every now and again, that if you're in a particular situation, be it, mentally, physically, grammatically, spiritually, that every time you just feel this sort of yearning desire to get away and just, leave everything behind you for a bit and just be free. And so that was what the song ended up sort of becoming about, in every sort of conceivable sense of the word.
And am I right in saying the video is basically clips that were taken around the studio when you were actually recording it?
Yes, yeah. So as we were doing it, we meant to hire a photographer in on the day to come through, but unfortunately, just due to COVID circumstances, she couldn't make it, and so we just sort of, while we were in the studio, we just took it upon ourselves to just sort of like, whenever we had a free moment, just to record various bits and bobs of things going on. And so we had about, I think I added it all up when we put the video together. It was about an hour's worth of footage, just scrolling through and just finding various bits of things that look quite nice. And so yeah, it was just I was kind of thinking in terms of I just can't think of the band. It's Metallica. Or I mean, a lot of bands have it where they have a single they're releasing. It's just footage of them, in the studio, just playing various bits. And so I was sort of going for something like that, I suppose. Just trying to just use what we had available to us, basically.
In my mind, I'm gonna fly away someday soon. Break the chain to find a brighter day with you. Step outside the world inside my head
to breathe instead. Take a trip in a beat-up car, no destination, no guitar. See the colors of the dreams I never knew. And I'm free, cruising on these endless roads. Where I'm going, no one knows, but it's not hard to see. This way to feel, shifting sides and summer nights, mountain heights and bonfire lights. It's not that far from me.
'Cause in my mind I'm gonna fly away, wait and see. Leave it all behind me for a day, just me. Strike the faded colors from the mast to breathe at last. 'Cause I will give my weight in gold to cut loose all the cares. I hope you take the lies I've told and make them true and be free, sailing with the wind in tow. A million miles or more to go, it doesn't matter much to me. 'Cause if you feel butterflies in bright blue skies, seagull cries and lazy tides, it's where you're meant to be. Oh, to be free, soaring into skies aglow, the worries of the world below are so small that I can't see.
If I could feel cottontails and vapor trails, the shifting scales of stratospheres, it's all I'd want to be.
The Alpha Sessions with Ron Laver.
When you were talking earlier, Matt, about Brighton and the times you guys get together, like for the Bloomsbury stuff and the live music nights, it sounds to me like you're all having just a little bit too much fun. I mean, Leo, you're recently married. Does your wife know that once lockdown is over, she's not going to see much of you?
She's it's been a bit of a peculiar situation. So my wife Amy works as a teacher in a secondary school,
Right.
So she's been working from home at the moment, obviously because they've closed all the schools, and my career has taken a bit of a change in that I've gone into teaching online as well. So I teach guitar online full time at the moment, so we're both working from home at the moment. But she's the one, because the schools are opening next week, she'll be the one leaving me actually, and I'm going to be the one stuck at home. So she'll be the one, gallivanting off, teaching children, having a great time, and I'll still be here in this room teaching people to play guitar. So she's got one up on me there, unfortunately.
What about you, Matt? You before, just when we started this session, you said, "Oh, I've just finished work." Are you working at home or?
Yes, so with the pandemic, I moved out. I've had to move out of London and back to sort of my family home. So I'm in my childhood bedroom where I grew up. So it feels like a Christmas that never really ended. You come over for Christmas, but yeah. No, it's been great. I get on really well with my family. But yeah, I've been I've been working for almost the last 6 months now, sort of in property management, which is a bit of a property management sort of administrator. I'm doing lots of it's just such a real shift and a real change from sort of definitely the life that I was leading before. But I don't think that I'm sure Leo will agree. I think that in some ways that sort of passion and readiness to it couldn't come soon enough. I think everybody is, everyone around the country is desperate to be entertained, and they're desperate for entertainment and for live music at gigs and open mic nights. I think it's almost going to be I'd love the idea of it being taken up a level than what it was before. But it's certainly been a bit of a learning experience as well in terms of for artists and the way that sort of they're using that we're using sort of online platforms, and also sort of keeping ourselves motivated whilst there isn't much of an industry at the moment. It's definitely going to be recovering for a little while. It's just sort of almost investing in ourselves to be ready for when it's going to come back. And I think loads of people want to be entertained. We know tons of talented artists and musicians. I think it's going to be going to be brilliant when we can be social again, and things like that, the Brighton Live Music Holiday and bits like that, and coming together will be amazing.
It's going to be mad scramble, isn't it?
Maybe.
Once gigs can start up again, you'll all be climbing over each other to get first in the door. So on that respect, I mean, have either of you got plans, tentative plans for gigging at all, and when you may be able to get back to some sort of normality, given that we've had a roadmap which is may or may not happen? Has that made it any easier for you to start talking to people about playing again?
Yeah, so like I think the sort of the first green shoots of sort of musical work are starting to show up again. The band, or the function band that I was in before, Truly Medley Deeply, have got bookings this summer. And there's been talk of that potentially happening, obviously COVID permitting, and there's a couple of other things that are planned in August at the moment for me, just various sort of bits and bobs and gigs and things. Once the London scene opens up again, I'll be out there as soon as possible. Medway's got weirdly enough, has quite a nice busking scene as well. Rochester's quite a tourist hotspot, and so I'll be there busking. And then there's a couple of local bands who are just itching to go out and play, really, not even for any for any financial gain or anything. I think people are just really looking to just get out and play with other people again. It's one thing to sort of play along, as you were saying earlier, Matt, sort of singing along to backing tracks and sort of playing with something that's mechanic, but this sort of getting the live reaction and sort of the adrenaline from playing with other people and reacting in real time to what they're doing, there's just nothing like it, really. And so a lot of people, I think, are itching to get back to that. I'm definitely itching to get back to it as well.
Well, one thing that's certainly going to take off as soon as it's possible is weddings. So many, including yourself. I mean, I know you've done what a lot of people have done, and got married, quietly with however many it was you were allowed at the time. But I guess you and a lot of other people are all. Some people have been hanging on, but even those that have got married are still planning big family parties.
Oh, so that's definitely a plan for us. So we were supposed to get married this December, and so we've postponed that to next year. And the same sort of thing. We're just going to have a massive party, which we're all really, really looking forward to. All the people who normally come along to the Brighton holiday will be there. All the uni friends and everyone, friends and family. It's just going to be a really, really great time. And obviously, because we've got so many musical friends, the stage will be open to anyone who wants to come along and give it a go and give a rendition of anything. So we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
That's going to be a great night, certainly from a musical point of view. Wow. What about you, Matt?
I think there's nothing that's nothing that's in the calendar and that's booked. I think a bit like Leo, I'll be chomping at the bit when the sort of the London scene opens again. The London music scene, and there's a bit more opportunity out there. I think I'm just trying to keep myself as motivated as I can, sort of in the meantime, and just sort of if I can work on my craft as much as I can, by playing and trying to write more than I have been, and just sort of get myself ready. But nothing planned yet. But hopefully, sort of as the opportunities present themselves, I think like a lot of musicians, they'll be darting to be one of the first to take them.
Great stuff. Well, we've got another video to drop in, and it's one of yours, Matt, from the Bloomsbury sessions. Lime in my Corona. Go on, tell me about it.
So, believe it or not, this is Lime in my Corona. A disclaimer: it is to do with the Corona beer. It was written long before the coronavirus, which we're unfortunately all familiar with the name, the Corona, the Corona sound now. But no, Lime in my Corona is it's actually a real feel good number that I actually wrote when I arrived at a gig I was playing. I was playing a party at a pub. I'd got the train over. I was a bit early, but I'd set up, and I kind of had 40 minutes and sort of found myself. Again, it's funny, isn't it, Leo? How we sort of as guitarists, you've and as someone who likes writing, you find yourself, you can be stuck with a certain sort of. I always say noodling. You're stuck with a certain pattern that a certain chord progression that you've been playing, and sometimes you can be stuck with it for ages. But sometimes it all falls into place, and suddenly the sort of the melody,
the heavens just open all of a sudden.
Absolutely, and that happened to me there when I was sort of waiting to start my first set at this party, and it was a bit of people watching, and it was just it's kind of sort of a real sort of feel good song is Lime in my Corona, about people, it was almost, doesn't matter what other people are saying, what other people are thinking. You live your best life, really, and you have fun doing it as well. I've just got so many good memories. I wrote the song a few years ago, and it's I finally got around to recording it in the studio with the help of some talented UCL musicians. Charlie, Rolf, Louis Shaw, Tahir. It's been it was brilliant to finally get that recorded, and hopefully to release that later on in the year, because I know that a lot of people have been asking me, and hopefully in time for summer as well. But no, Lime My Corona's a real feel good song, and hopefully it can take a bit more of get a bit more ownership for the Corona. Back to the beer that we were all enjoying drinking in the pub.
Yes, we want to take, that's great. We want to take ownership of Corona again, don't we?
Absolutely, and hopefully, there's someone can help do that as well.
That's great. Well, look, guys, it's been really good talking to you. Really, really good chat. I've enjoyed everything you got to say, and wish you both luck in the future, and hope all goes well.
Thank you very much, Ron. No, but absolute pleasure to meet you and speak to you, and to be on here. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on again. It's been a real privilege. Thank you so much.
There I was, just a small town boy on campus, sitting here in a smoke-filled bar in Camden, when she walked through the door, and I'm not lonely anymore. She gave her friend some time and took the stool right next to mine. Well, those butterflies are doing bits, but I'ma have to down my drink, 'cause I ain't got no time to think. So if you're done feeling sober and all of this is over, then who gon' really care if I have lime in my Corona? So go take your girlfriends another place round town. I was here first and I'm up done feeling down. Oh, 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 oh. We started talking and there I'm thinking she's fine, but I found out pretty soon those thoughts she was sharing weren't mine. Oh yeah, she's too much for me, and all she's taking obviously. She's laughing at my beer, I'm wishing she don't come round here. Well, those butterflies were doing bits, but if I'm only 5'9", then maybe I'm not quite your type. So if you're done feeling sober and know that this is over, then who gon' really care if I have lime in my Corona? So go take your girlfriends another place round town. I was here first and I'm not done feeling down. Oh, 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 no. So if you're done feeling sober and all of this is over, and who gon' really care if I have lime in my Corona? So go take your girlfriends another place round town. I was here first and I'm up done feeling down.